Life is a sacred journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
Welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. I am Micheal Pope, your host here at Life is a Sacred Journey. It's good to be with you. Man, what a week. I don't know if any of you have had the week that I've had. I've been on an emotional roller coaster. So if you are one of those people that can relate to all of that, welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey, where life does what life does, and we try to work together to figure it all out. So I welcome you back to another time with us and hope that all is well and that you're doing well and that you can still smile, you can still laugh to make it through the day. So welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. This morning, we're having a pondering, and I've had a variety of challenges this morning based on what button to push. The speaker isn't working right. The Facebook wasn't working right. This morning when I woke up, my battery, the car battery, was dead, and I had to call AAA. Great young man by the name of Matthew. He said that he would check me out. So Matthew, thank you so much for helping me this morning. And I just want to say thank you, AAA, for getting me out of some tough spots over the years. And when I pay the amount every year, I think to myself, well, can I budget differently? And AAA is always, it's like life insurance. So I want to thank, and if you've ever used AAA, put in the comment, thank those folks for what they're doing over there at AAA. It's important. I also would like you to hit the share button. We're beginning to have this great momentum where our messaging is getting out to people and to the rest of the community. And we want to just touch more people every single day with our messaging. So if you could hit that share button, hit like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. All of those things really help us to know, one, that our platform is important, but number two, it helps us to grow and to reach more people out there in this virtual community that I still don't understand how it all comes together. So welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey, and let's get started. Today, I wanted to spend a few minutes on Alzheimer's and one of the behaviors that manifests itself all throughout the disease process. But particularly at this time of the year, we find that not only ourselves that are dealing with the change in the season, some of us do that well, some of us have allergies, some of us start to get insomnia, whatever the symptoms may be to seasonal change. There's a lot of symptoms that are negative. Some of them are great. We get excited about the Christmas season or Thanksgiving or Halloween, which we just celebrated. But for some who are living with cognitive decline and some challenges, Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, there is this phenomenon, there is this symptom called sundowning. And I started to think about it because of the fact that we'll be changing our time again. And somebody look it up for me, because I remember voting that I didn't want to change the clocks anymore, and I thought it passed. So maybe I'm just confused, which is very likely at this stage. So please look it up for me, because I thought we weren't going to be doing this, but maybe we are. But I think it's November something. It's coming up, and we will be, spring ahead, fall back. Well, what will happen then is that we will notice that for some of our folks living with dementia, Alzheimer's is one of the number one dementias, but there are other dementias that people live with that affect their ability to navigate the very things that make it easy for us to get up in the morning and automatically brush our teeth, to get up in the morning and know how to get in the car and start the car. All of those things take a great deal of brain power that we don't even acknowledge because it's on automatic pilot, so to speak. But sundowning is something that happens to 80 to 90% of people living with dementia. And I was reading that it actually happens to people that don't have dementia, but we see it manifest itself a great deal in folks that are diagnosed with dementia. First of all, let me describe what sundowning is. It's an increased confusion within people living with Alzheimer's specifically and other dementias from dusk through night. It's also, again, it's called sundowner syndrome is another terminology that you will hear. It's not a disease, but it's a set of symptoms where people really react to this dusk period into the night. And they have a hard time understanding that time span. What time of the day is it? Is it afternoon? Is it night? Is it early evening? And because of some of the things that are occurring for them in their lives, they can't navigate that. And so we begin to see then difficulty in sleeping because then that pattern, I have a pattern, and I'm sure you do too, a pattern where I go to sleep at a certain time, that my body starts to go, it's time for bed, it's time for bed. And my body starts to tell me that it's time for bed. I also wake up at the same time almost every single day. And sometimes even before the alarm goes off, I'm already waking up to the day. And so this happens to us as we navigate life and after we live into this routine of life that we live into, we have these clocks inside of us that make things happen. The clock of even how we age, the clock of when we're fertile, when we're not fertile, the clock of life. And so for people who are sundowning or having sundowner syndrome, they may experience anxiety during that 4:35, 6 o'clock time after we change the clocks, falling them back by that hour, because things will start, the sun will be setting, but it will be setting in a different sort of way that we won't have that longer day where it will be light late, till 8, 9 o'clock at night in the beginning of spring. When we first do it, we're like, yay, that longest day of the year. It becomes the day, as far as daylight, becomes shorter. So you may see some anxiety, you may see some agitation. You also may see some hallucinations because, again, there's a shadowing. I was reading an article, and it said because of the way that the sun is going down at that time of, that early evening, what we used to say evening, it creates shadows. And so those shadows can lead to hallucinations, but then that individual, because of whatever the damage is to what side of the brain, what portion of the brain, they may be experiencing hallucinations anyway. People who are diagnosed with Lewy bodies dementia, it is prevalent that you will see that they will have hallucinations along with in their, living out their diagnosis. So we see agitation, hallucinations, disorientation. They begin to try to figure out, where am I? What's going on? What time of the day is this? When is this going to happen? Is it time for dinner? Is it time to go home if they're here at ASAP or somewhere else? Or just what day is it? Has the day begun? Is it just beginning? Is it really ending? Is it midnight because it's so dark outside when it's only maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock at night? You see that we have a lot of accidents. You'll notice that the accidents on the road will go up because, again, we're adapting to commuting, some of us, to darkness to darkness. If you're the earlier you leave in the morning, it's dark outside no matter what. And then if you're coming home later, not even later, but if you're coming home around 6:30 in the evening in the next 3 to 5, 6 weeks, it's going to be dark. And so you begin to see how all of this changes. And when in the spring, it's people say, oh man, I've lost sleep and da da da. We all are, I'm going to call us like thermometers of what's going on in the ecosystem. And people living with Alzheimer's and dementia are even much more so. And so how do we help people who are experiencing sundowning behavior? We try to have routine that is a specific time of the day. So if dinner is always at 7 o'clock, that's a good way for someone to say, oh, wait a minute, it's earlier in the day because I haven't had dinner yet. So then they may not know what time it is based on the clock and all of that, but they time their lives according to what is scheduled, what they're doing. Getting up in the morning means morning. Going to bed at night means night. Having supper means evening, kind of. And so these little routines along the way will help them to navigate where they are and what's going on. I've had families say to me that the schedule that their loved one has Monday through Friday coming here to Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay is the schedule that they keep on Saturday and Sunday. They wake up thinking the van is coming or that they're coming here to ASEB. They question why they're not here at ASEB as the day goes on because they have a routine. Our van drivers pick them up at a particular time. They come to the program. There's certain things happening in a 1 hour slot, 1.5 hour slot for most shifts in activity changes. And then they know that, oh, it's afternoon. That's when they start asking us. And they can tell by the schedule that the schedule has changed. In the day, they go, oh, because they've had lunch. Having lunch is the bigger cue. It means I'm almost ready to go home, or I have a bit longer to wait to go home. So sundowning is just one of those behaviors and manifestations of dementia that acknowledges that confusion in the individual, that they no longer can hold that schedule. They no longer can hold that, oh, I can look at the clock and I know what that means, because no, not every person can. And I see particularly as people move on to the moderate to late stages of the disease. Early stage folks still use cell phones and clocks and computers and all of those things to help them navigate the world around them. But as people progress, those items become less useful to some people. And the other is helping them with it by giving them activities, having activities of daily living that are substituting, excuse me, for what they might have been doing if they were not diagnosed with this disease. As I always say to people, the dinner time hour is one of the best places. You can give your loved one an activity like making the salad. You don't want to give them a knife that's going to cut their hand or that they might not be able to navigate, but something that's not sharp. They can use those things to cut up fruit or something that's soft. But I always say making the salad, if you cut up everything and put it in bowls and put it in front of them, and they can put it in a bigger bowl and toss it. I mean, that, how long that can take for a person. For some, not very long. But if you're in the moderate to late stages of the disease process, it'll take a minute for all of that to happen. But you have to make it mistake-free. Right? It's a mistake-free activity. Whether the carrots go in first or croutons, it doesn't matter. You can put it in and they can have that activity, and that will bridge that time. They may still ask a lot of questions like, what time is it? All of that. But at least they're doing something that's keeping their tactile abilities engaged. Being tactile, for a lot of people, I find that particularly in our males, and again, I know that this is the 21st century and we don't like to talk or speak in gender terms, but again, the population that I serve is an older population, and they are very much living out their gender identity as male. And so in the male men's group, we call it, we want to have activities where the men can do things like the sanding of the wood, and they have to be sort of activities that lead to something, not an activity like they're not just sitting there sanding a piece of wood forever. They're building a birdhouse. We get the kits so that it makes it easy for us and for them. They glue it together. It becomes an activity that they can build upon and that they can feel a sense of success. We hang them outside on the deck, and when they see the animals come, the birds come and feed off of the seed there, they feel a sense of success. And they're easy for someone to assist, whether they be a paid care partner or a care partner at home. So looking for the 99-cent store is a great place for those kinds of activities that you're going to have to put some things together, like counting money. We have a woman here that she talks about money and paying people and tipping people. So we realized that was really important to her, to be able to feel like she was tipping the staff. And so we're beginning an exercise where she can take the coins and decide what she wants to tip, and we will walk her through that activity. And then those coins will disappear. And yes, we're setting up a reality for her where she's living through what she needs to experience. And yes, it looks like she's tipping us, or she feels like she's tipping us. And that gives her self-esteem and empowers her to feel like she's engaging in what's happening in her life and her relationship with the team downstairs. So things like that. Excuse me. I tried to see if there was something that was a hallmark for the sundowning syndrome, or sundowning, or sundowners. And I'm going to look at my notes, but one of the things that I saw is that it has a direct correlation to trouble sleeping. So what you will find is and that's why people come to day programs and keeping people awake during the day. What we're trying to do is reset that clock, okay? Because if they're dozing off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, dinner's not till 7, then you begin to have this change in the biorhythm of that individual. And because they can't self-modulate it, because of what's happening in the brain, then we need to be the ones to make sure that we create sort of this virtual, for lack of a better, because I know that's not really what I mean, but a different reality around time, that the time is set up by an experience and not looking at a clock or a watch to say, oh, it's that particular time. I hope that makes sense. And if you have any questions, please write them in the chat, and I will try to get to them in the next day or two to respond. The other is they're navigating any new or confusing environment that we find that happens when people move from living at home and to an assisted living, board and care, or another from their home that's not their home anymore. And it takes them a minute, even here, where people go back home, or their family members pick them up even. 30 days it takes for them to feel safe with us, for us to become a part of their routine, for them to feel like I know what happens when I come to Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. They may be feeling some sort of anxiety or stress in their life. Why it's so important to navigate those times when they seem a little anxious. The behavior is changing a little bit, where they seem a little frustrated, like maybe you're assisting them tying their shoe, and that's never been a problem in the past. And now it's becoming a problem because they don't want you touching their foot. Well, there's a couple of things that could be happening. One, they're not getting enough deep sleep in the evening. And one of the things that really helps that is playing subtle flute music. One of the caregivers, care partners the other day said to me that they were playing for their loved one rain, just the sound of rain, and it really helped for her to relax and to get into her sleeping. They have beautiful ones now that I found while doing this research for today, where the person is reading a story in the background. So there's this beautiful sound of water, an indigenous flute, and then someone's reading. And I actually fell asleep to it last night because I wanted to see what it was like. And it was a great experience. So you can think of things that can help your loved one feel safe. And night lights are interesting. For some, they give that place of safety, but for some, they create too many shadows in the room, and they begin to see people moving around the room when in fact it could be the wind moving a branch outside the window. But when it hits that night light, you all have done this, I've done this, where I all of a sudden am startled by a shadow that I see because maybe I thought I was alone, and all of a sudden there's a shadow that looks like a person, and then you look up and it's the branch from the tree hitting the nightlight. So you want to look at all the things in their environment that might be creating some of this confusion and anxiety around the early evening, and particularly, as they say, from dusk to night. Also, if they're dreaming while they're sleeping, I remember as a young person loving to dream and trying to wake up and hold on to those dreams. I could never remember them all, but dreaming can also, when somebody is living with dementia, create storylines that aren't their real storylines. But again, because of the disease, because of what their brain is doing, the brain can no longer distinguish between a dream and what really is happening in that individual's life. So if they begin to have a conversation with you about people moving around the room or things happening, take them seriously. Look at the environment and see. I was thinking about that again last night because I have a coat rack that's in the corner of my room, and I throw my robe on there. Actually, every piece of clothing I've had on this week is hanging on it. Well, if the nightlight in the hallway hits that coat rack in a certain way, and I'm waking up from a wonderful deep REM sleep, and I look at it quickly because my New York Yankee cap of 20 years is hanging on there, it looks like a person standing in the corner staring at me. So you have to understand the environment and what stimulus and what it's creating for the person living with the dementia that you're caring for or that you're being exposed to in your environments where you serve. We talked about the low lighting. We talked about the sleeping, the dreaming, and these are some of the good things that you can do to help your loved one or the person that you're caring for, whether you're in a paid care partner relationship or you're a care partner of someone that you love. You can encourage them to get rest. You can encourage them to be engaged in the world, get physically out in the world during the day, and not pushing them to do more than they can physically do, but at least to the point where they're feeling like they came back and they say, whew, that was a great walk. Whew, I'm a little tired. When those little comments come out, or when a person looks like, okay, that's been a great walk, a great activity, then you know that they've had a good afternoon and they'll have a more restful sleep. You want to also make sure, again, we talked about this from the top of the hour, to schedule activities such as your doctor's appointments, your trips and bathing in the morning or early afternoon hours when the person with dementia is more alert. Definitely in the morning, more alert, more focused. They've had enough sleep. So if you want to engage in a conversation that's more of a give and take and has a little bit more ability to be understood, the morning is usually the best hour for many. I am noticing that many of our participants in the program prefer not to get up early. They're later risers. So that's why we began an 11 o'clock shift for people to come in a little bit later. But there are those that still wake up early in the morning, 3, 4 o'clock. And so when the van arrives at 7:45, they're already ready, dressed, excuse me, and ready to embark upon their van ride here to ASAP. So it's all personal. Every person is unique, and every person manifests dementia in a unique way. So let's remember that. You want to encourage a regular routine of waking, eating meals, and going to bed. So these are just some tips that I thought would help you as you navigate your care partner, care receiving relationship, paid or unpaid. Share it with another person that you know. I also want to share some real great information for you that I think might be helpful for some of you out there. The Alzheimer's Association of Northern California and Northern Nevada, it has Caregiver Respite Grant Program. And this is for respite care. It's a one-time only grant, and the grants are awarded typically $1,000 per family to be used within a 6-month period. However, the total allotment and time frame may vary depending on individual circumstances. There is a wait list that is 8 to 10 weeks long once the application has been received in the office. But and if it's emergency or urgent care, you can follow up with them. But you can get information about this particular grant, and it's going to require some things. You're going to have to use a facility maybe for respite, but they'll reimburse you. Some of it's for daycare if you're doing daycare. To be eligible, here's how you have to be eligible. You have to be the primary family caregiver, and person with dementia must live in Northern California area, Northern Nevada. Okay, the person with dementia must have Alzheimer's disease or a related disorder. So they have to have that form of dementia. Primary caregiver must be providing substantial support for the person with dementia and living at the same address. And the primary caregiver must be in need of respite or additional respite. And the primary caregiver and person with dementia has low assets and an inability to pay for care. So those are, sorry about that. Those are the benefits and the criteria for the loan. If you meet all these criteria and you are the primary caregiver, you must first contact the 24/7 help hotline. And here is the number. Get a piece of paper. It's 1-800-272-3900 before completing the application and submitting it to the Alzheimer's Association. Here we go. First contact is their 24/7, helpline. The phone number is 1-800-272-3900 before completing the application. And what we're talking about is the Alzheimer's Association, Northern California, Northern Nevada chapter caregiver respite grant program. We'll put more information. I'll get the flyer out to Felicia, and we'll put more information on our Life is a Sacred Journey page. But get it out there, because $1,000, to cover respite. We just had a caregiver get the grant, submitted it a while back, but she took the $1,000 and it paid for her husband to spend a weekend at a boarding care while she went away with her siblings and for a good little R&R. So the caregiver respite grant program being administered by the Alzheimer's Association, Northern California, Northern Nevada chapter. Okay, so please get help. Don't suffer in silence. And I hope the information that I shared with you this morning about sundowning will be helpful. Before I close this morning, I want to also say, take care of you. If you're caring for somebody, whether it's paid or unpaid, taking care of another human being in any way, shape, or form takes a great deal of life energy from you as the caregiver. It is a labor of love in many, many instances. I, of course, have been in this field now for over 26 years. And so I've seen instances where it hasn't been a labor of love because the family was fragmented before this disease came into their lives. But it is important to be kind to yourself when you're trying to figure out what's going on with your loved one. It's important for you to take time to refuel your energy and refuel your soul, yourself, and your self-identity as an individual and not just as a caregiver. You want to practice breathing and you know, I read it said 10 minutes a day, you know, spend 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, taking deep breathing so that you can relax. Go for a walk. Let people help you. When they offer to do something, take them up on it. Say, yes, oh my gosh, yes. When are you available? When can you do that for me? Get it on your calendar, get it on their calendar. Allow people to be kind. Allow people to support you whenever they offer. When they offer is when they can do it. So take advantage of the offer. Also, this is a meditation that I learned from my therapist, and it was about staying calm and relaxing in my energy, which I don't do very well, but I'm working on it. And it reads, I breathe in calm and relaxing energy. I pause to let the quiet energy relax my body. I breathe out and release any anxious or tense energy. Yeah. So do that with me now. Let's do that. I breathe in calm and relaxing energy. I pause to let the quiet energy relax my body. And I breathe out and release any anxious or tense energy. Remember that. And use it whenever you can. When you're putting on your lipstick in the morning or brushing your teeth after you gargle and do all that, write that down, put it on your mirror, and it'll help you navigate this care partner journey. Being a care partner is a lot of work, and it requires moment by moment for you to shift in your reality, because the reality of the person that you're caring for, particularly if they have dementia, is changing with every second. So we praise you and honor you, and the candle is lit for care partners, paid and unpaid, for everything that they do. Well, I've been hearing, and thank you for reaching out to me, that you guys miss our if. So I found two that I would read today for you. And so again, this is from the book called If, Questions for the Game of Life. Evelyn McFarlane and James Saywell. Okay, and if you two are out there, I'd love to interview you about where you got all these ifs. They're phenomenal. Thank you for writing this. Here's our first if. We'll have two, and then we'll end for today. If you could adopt one personality trait from someone you know, what would you take and from whom? Here we go, one more time. If you could adopt one personality trait from someone you know, what would you take and from whom? For me, it's an easy one. It would be my son. My son is one of the calmest people that I know. Even in the moments of tragedy and things that are chaotic, he is that gentle breeze in that moment. I am the complete opposite. I go from hot to cold in 90 seconds, 190, 200 degrees at 1,000 miles an hour. And so for me, the one personality trait that I would love to adopt from him is his gentle sense of calm that he has no matter what. Yeah, so who would it be for you? If you could adopt one personality trait from someone you know, Who would you take? What would you take? And from whom? All right, question number 2. Here we go. Oh, here you go. If you could foresee a single day of your future in its entirety, what date would you select? I'll say it one more time. I know already, so I'll tell you in a minute. If you could foresee a single day of your future in its entirety, what date would you select? I don't know what the date would be. I can't do the math that fast, but it would be my 100th birthday. I would love to see that day in its entirety, to see who's around me, who's singing happy birthday to me, because it would definitely be a day about me and enjoying life. I don't know, I can't imagine how old Nora would be then. I mean, my granddaughter probably would have children of her own, and oh man, I'd love to have that day in its entirety. So if you could foresee a single day of your future in its entirety, what date would you select? And my cell phone is ringing in the background. All right, friends, if you could turn off your cell phone from a distance, how would you do that? So excuse that noise going on in the background. I love life. Life gives you, as I said, this has been a hard week for me. I've struggled this week, just struggled this week. I'm a feeler and a very emotional feeler, and it really this week has really tapped that energy in me. And I know you guys know these things because I'm not the only person that feels this way from time to time about life. But the good news is that there's the sigh of relief that you made it through another day, the sigh that you woke up and you say, hey, glory be. If you're a person like me, or for others, you go, yeah, I'm still here, or however you celebrate waking up in the morning. And then you look around with gratitude, not just in this season of gratitude, but you look around with gratitude even throughout your existence to say, I'm doing well, and it is well. So if you are out there right now, because I know this is the season of depression and anxiety that is happening because we who live with it don't always look forward to Christmas and Thanksgiving and it creates anxiety for us. So if you are that person out there and you think that, I don't want to be around for this season because it's too much, it's going to ask too much of me, and I don't want to feel all the emotions that I'm going to feel. Pick up the phone, dial 988, get a loving, caring person on the other line that will talk you through that moment and give you the resources that you need to get you to the other side of this moment of thinking that your life has no value. Everybody's life has value, even in its darkest moments. 988 is the suicide hotline number. If you're out there and you don't know this number and you're not sharing this number with everybody, I ask that you do that, particularly over the next 3, 4, 5 months. Share with people. There's a lot going on in the world and people are being impacted by this. And yes, some of us go to faith-based communities where we can share and have fellowship and pray about things, but then there are others that don't have that and they need our support. And so you want to dial that 988 if you need that kind of support in your life. I'm getting my other card that I taped here so I wouldn't forget it. The other number that is so important to have and to share is the California Youth Crisis Line. It's a 24/7 crisis counseling, anonymous, safe, confidential connection to services for youth and families, okay? For youth and families. The number is 1-800-843-5200. You can call, text, and chat with the California Youth Crisis Hotline folks. 1-800-843-5200, 24/7, and they will help you find the resources and services that you need. And if you are a foster I am so sorry. An emancipated foster young adult or youth, or someone who just could not live in the situation that you were living in and had to run away from it, walk away from it, get away from it. This 1-800 number, 843-5200, is a number that you should have and you should call for support and help. Followers of Life is a Sacred Journey, please share these numbers in all the spaces and places that you go. People need more help than any one organization or one entity can provide. And we don't all have what people need. And so whatever we have, we give, but then give them a resource for something else when you know they may be dealing with these things. I am Micheal Pope, and I've been your host for Life is a Sacred Journey for a really long time. And I really want to say one, to Felicia, just how much I appreciate her and everything that she does on the sidelines, the behind the scenes stuff that she does to make sure that Life is a Sacred Journey comes to you every Friday morning at 8 a.m. I also want to thank all of you that show up and hit that share button and have made it so that we have the following that we have. I'm asking you to do it again and bump us up and to hit the share button, subscribe if you're on our YouTube channel, and share. Even just a special moment that we said something that resonated with you. We don't always hit the mark right. We don't always have topics that resonate with everybody, but we bring a variety of information to you so that you can pick and choose from the library of Life is a Sacred Journey. Well, it's Friday, and it's the first Friday in November. And I'm going to lick my wounds this weekend. I'm doing a training in the morning with BMCR, and I'm going to be here with a group of students from UC Berkeley, the Berkeley Project Day. So we might do a live video there. So I'm just going to lick my wounds and keep it going. It's not about me. And it's not about you, it's about us. It's about us as a humanity. And we sometimes fall down, but boy, when we get up, we've changed so much. We've learned so much. And the falling down then becomes something that we realize we had to do in order to get up and be the change within ourselves and the change in the world. Have a wonderful day out there in the neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. Happy birthday to all the birthday people out there, and give yourself a hug. Hug a tree, pet a cat, pet a dog, and have a wonderful weekend. Peace.